Meeting to order, would you please take roll?
Ms. Atkins?
Here.
Mr. Houston?
Here.
Mrs. McDaniel? Mrs. Peterson?
Here.
Mr. Sorensen?
He just popped off. He was here. See if he pops back on.
Mr. Wright?
Here.
Mrs. Sheppel?
Here. Can I get a motion to approve the August 19th, 2024 agenda?
So moved.
Any discussion?
Director Sorensen, are you on the line now? Can you hear us? Who has their microphone on in here? Oh, not the microphone, like the computer mic.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yep.
I cannot hear you on my end.
Okay, if whoever else is on, usually I'm the only one that's on Google Meets, and so whoever else is on, mute your, can you hear me?
Can you hear me? I can hear that, but then I get an echo.
Trying to think, we've done this before. Maybe,
mine's
Dr.
on.
Hartman, can you just get off the Google Meets completely? He can follow along.
Yeah, but then I'm not screen sharing to the,
All right. Where were we?
We have a motion and a second on
All
the
right,
agenda.
any discussion? Vote, please.
Ms. Atkins?
yes.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Sorensen?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Mrs. Sheppel?
Yes. Commendation and good news.
So I do have a presentation up there. Can you go back? So the first thing is I'm gonna have Dr. Hartman, she's gonna tell you about some of our, great workshops that we've held so far this year.
Yeah, so the first one was our para conference, and appreciate many of you guys helping. The Wrights came and helped us set up, and Travis came to the first part of it, and Amy donated some things to the swag bag, so that was really cool. But it was neat because the first day was different staff at Lewis Central put on different sessions that they could choose to attend. So everything from choosing how to, like, sessions about being supporting kids to not be dysregulated, and de-escalation techniques, and MTSS for paras. And then the second day we had the speaker come in, and she talked to the paras about basically how to design different learning experiences for paras. And she does a lot of research and studying about paras in the special education setting. So it was really cool. Lots of really good feedback from the paras that we'll have to share with you sometime, but it was a really neat experience for them. This one I don't know anything about.
Nope, this is just a transportation meeting. So we had a variety of people, not just our teachers. Our teachers came back today, but we had teacher leaders come back one day. We had paraeducators come back one day. Our transportation staff came back. Our cooks have been in and out. Our maintenance staff, custodial have been in and out. So there's been a lot of activity since about the beginning of August. So it's been pretty exciting. Next one.
This is our new teacher orientation, and so part of our teacher leadership program, we have a role, it's the new teacher program facilitator, which is Kim Muta. So myself and Laura supported her in putting on, it's 2 half days of learning, and then they go to the buildings for the afternoon of the day. But we just get them acclimated to what Lewis Central is like, and we go through all of the things, like this is what PBIS is like here, this is MTSS, this is how professional development works here. Again, lots of feedback. If I knew you were sharing, I would have put in here. There's feedback from somebody who was like, because we bring all staff who's new to Lewis Central, so you don't have to be a beginning teacher. But this staff member was like, I have been an educator for 20 years. I've been to several different new teacher things, and this was the best one. This was super valuable. So it's just kind of nice to hear from like veterans that it wasn't like a waste of their time. So it's a really sharp, really awesome group of new staff we have, so it's pretty exciting to be around them for 2 days.
Awesome. So we had our teachers came back today, and this is just a PTA did a nice little kind of welcome back for them. So they went and got, you'll see those aren't actually Powerade, that's cold brew. They actually took those giant containers to Scooters and got them filled with cold brew, and they had little syrups to put in their coffees, and they had all sorts of different beverages and little mini donuts. I didn't even know Scooters made these mini donuts, and they're awesome. So they had just all sorts of stuff. So really awesome from the PTA to be able to do that for our staff. Popsicles in the playground, another PTA opportunity that they did this last weekend. So they ended up having a really good turnout. I believe my wife said there were over 60 at Kreft and over almost 90 at Titan Hill. So that's awesome. So that's a good turnout. And that's just for Kreft, that was the K1, and then for Titan Hill, it was 2nd grade and then their families. So, or anybody new to the district. So it wasn't like it was the whole group. But as you can see, it was just fun had by all. Supply drop-off and open house night. So these are just some things to note. So starting tomorrow, we actually have this isn't up there, but we have our all-staff meeting tomorrow morning. And then after our all-staff meeting, we have, on Wednesday, we have a lot of open houses. Kreft is from 4 to 6. High school is from 6:30 to 7. And then also from 7 to 8. So they have just in the middle school in Titan Hill, theirs is on Thursday, August 22nd. So a lot of opportunities for parents and students to come in, see their classroom, meet their teachers, put their stuff in their locker. And then on Friday, we will have kindergarten, 2nd grade, 6th grade, all start full days. And then in high school, we'll have 9th grade start the day off, and then the rest of the grades will join them throughout the day. And then on next Monday, we have the whole district, so the whole shebang next Monday. So I know my kids were excited, thinking they got to go to school on Friday, and I told them, no, you gotta sleep in one more day. So one was heartbroken, one was ecstatic. So kind of all over the board there. And then tomorrow night's our first bond informational session, community forum. It's at 7 p.m. It'll be both live at the middle school multipurpose room and online. So just trying to make sure that people know about it and they come out and they listen to the differences between the bond option that we're throwing out now and what last year's was, and then what it all entails. We'll talk about how it impacts them financially. We'll talk about a timeline for all the work getting done. We'll talk about what's next. And so just lots of information. Hopefully people tune in or turn out. And I think that's it.
Okay, anyone else? Commendation and good news?
So one thing I do want to point out here is you'll see an asterisk below miscellaneous assignments or appointments. This is just an adjustment. We would like to make an adjustment to our teacher sub rate. We currently pay $150 for a sub for a day, and then we also pay $167 for a long-term sub. We'd like to raise those to $160 and $180. That would make us more competitive with everybody else is kind of going up in the area. So when we started looking, 160 seemed to be kind of the new norm. So that's what we're going to recommend we go to.
Is there any discussion?
And all of these are all of the salary schedule movement requests for the year.
Okay, vote please.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Sorensen?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Ms. Atkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Sheppel?
Yes. Report 6.01, superintendent report.
So my report is essentially that we are currently sitting, we still have about 190 registrations that are not quite done, which is actually pretty par for the course, about a week left. So we just have some people that will still show up on day one without registering their kids and be like, we're here, we're ready to go. We do have the predictive analytics that the board purchased back in March through PowerSchool. That program is up and running, and we're trying to make sure it's accurate with what information we're looking at. And so what predictive analytics is, and I'll share it once it's accurate, is they take a look at like birth trends in the area, they take a look at our current enrollment, what the enrollment's been in the past, and then they take a look at developing neighborhoods. So they work with county and city to look up, what areas are being developed, what are the timelines for those developments, what type of housing is going in, is it apartment, is it low income, is it duplex, is it single-family housing, is it really expensive single-family housing? And then they have a metric, a national metric they put to each one of those specific dwellings to then give us kind of an estimate of a probability of or whether or not they're going to produce students for us. So when that's done, we'll be able to have some of that information, be able to forecast out. I know that was one of the things that we talked about last go around, was people were like, well, what evidence do you have that there's going to be a lot more student enrollment? And so that's kind of what this is, trying to figure out, can we predict it? And if we can predict it, what does it look like? And the reason we went with the national company is because they have some data that helps them to show that they can be pretty consistent in their predictions. So that'll be an ongoing living program. So as new developments come up and we get notification from the city or the county, then they can plug those right in and give us updated estimates. So, and on the flip side, same thing too. If somebody comes in and says, this neighborhood or this apartment complex is shutting down, we can notify them and they can, update it that way too. So it works both ways. So when that's done, it'll be pretty cool. We have students are starting, like I said, this Friday, and on Monday All of our summer maintenance projects are kind of winding up right now. Our roofs at the high school are done. We're still needing some, I don't know what you call it, flashing or whatever it is, the metal that goes around the perimeter of the roof, needs some of that yet. Otherwise, our roofs, are in good shape as far as the ones that were redone. And then we're finalizing the plans for the HVAC as far as the high school chiller, the units above the gym and the athletic wing, and then the HVAC heating and cooling options at Titan Hill. Those are getting done, those plans. So hopefully we'll have something to present to the board, and then the next phase would be to go out and start looking for bids for that. So that'll be the next month probably. The welding room is coming along. We kind of hit a snag with some of the equipment not being available, and so we're trying to work through, are there other options for us to make sure that we can get our kids some lab activity? So does that mean we have some portable units that we can have them weld outside on nice days? We just gotta make sure we get them some good lab time. Otherwise, the whole lab is set to be done and completed sometime towards the end of September, but the main thing is we have to get lab hours. So there's options though. We can ask kids to come in and pay the teacher extra to do some labs on Saturday. We can do it, as long as we get the hours, we can give the credit. So just need to make sure we get that done. So you guys will approve some welding equipment tonight that'll help us move that along. And then that's about it. I mean, it's just a lot going on right now, so.
Is there any questions? Okay, 6.02, Geo Bond Communication Update.
So I'm gonna pull up the bond website here. So the bond website is always a work in progress, but Emma's done a great job of putting together the updates to the website, so that way you can see kind of where we started. But then as you scroll down, you'll see options for, what the total scope is. You can click on each school. You just click on like the first one, for instance. So the three goals are remodel, improve, and replace. So remodel, that'd be like remodeling classrooms, electrical systems, plumbing systems. The middle school is a big remodel. If you click on the middle school, you'll see remodeling not only the classrooms, but updates to multi-purpose building, ADA accessibility, restrooms, locker rooms, technology improvements, structural mechanical improvements. So there's a lot of different updates that would just go into the building. If you go into goal 2, you'll see secure entrances, classroom technology. You'll see the land purchase for future construction when that time comes. You'll see LED lighting. So there's some options there for us as we move forward. And then goal 3 is replace. And these are just things that we need to just replace: mechanical systems, structural systems, building roofs, playground equipment, parking lots and entries. That's probably one of our biggest line items, is parking lots and entries. Anybody can go through and they can click through there. Just some options that are up there. If you keep going down or go back to the main page. Oh, this will be a good way. This will show people how to get there. So if you go here and you go to the menu, we'll show them how to get there. Go to the menu, and then if you go down to bond, it'll take you right to the bond page. And as you keep scrolling down, you'll see one vote. That's the difference from last time. You'll see ballot language. You'll see how to get to the Potawatomi County, Mills County website for ballot information, voting dates, voting locations, absentee ballot information. We are working on getting a satellite voting option at our elementary school in October, just to give people another option if they can't make it to the regular voting day or that site. So they have some just FAQs here. Why now? If you go to the what will it cost, this is if you go to the tax calculator, we have a table there. But if you go to tax calculator and you say you just go make a copy, it'll just open up a form here. You just fill in the yellow cell. So you would say, let's say my house is $324,602. Just push enter, and you'll see that your yearly increase would be $145.57. So you'd be able to go on there, type in whatever your current valuation is of your house, and you'll be able to see exactly what your payment is. If you own a business, that's commercial property right there. You can see what your commercial property is too. So anybody can go on there, they can type it in. They don't have to guess. They don't have to say, well, if I have a $300,000 house, my taxes are gonna go up $2,000 a month. That's absolutely not true. You can type it right in there, you can see exactly what it was. On the flip side, last year, that number would have been $3.60 at the top, and then you would have seen an increase, for the same house there at 145 at right around $500 a year. So this is a significant decrease to what, we were asking last year. So, just wanted to make sure people understood this is not the same bond. And the reason it's not the same bond is because we can't ask two questions. We can only ask one question, and that's, can we borrow some money? We can't ask to extend the levy beyond $2.70. So why only go for $1? Well, the answer is people were asking us to phase it out, phase it in. Rather than do it all at once, phase it in to make it more affordable for people in the community. And the number one thing they said was take care of your current facilities. And so we sat down with Project Advocates and said, what do we need to do to take care of our current facilities? We came up with, roughly $30 million. We'll get done what we have to do in order for our buildings to be safe, secure, and functional. And set up for the next 20, 30 years. So we said, okay, what will that cost? Well, it roughly costs about right at $1. So that's what we're going with this time, and hopefully we can get some people to show up and get informed and then get out to vote. So then it'll also show, if you go down, there's also tax rate. You can see the comparison over the years, how the tax rate's gone. If you click over, you'll see how we compare with similarly sized districts, and these are updated numbers, and how we compare with how we compare with districts around us. So numbers a little bit different because tax levies change a little bit each year. So that's where we sit. If you go up, you can go to the estimated timeline, and it'll show, this is, pretty much what the estimated timeline is. Right now, this is the original estimated timeline that everything was gonna be done in fall of 2028. Do you have that, Ms. Schwaller, do you have that, the new, time schedule on here? Okay, scroll down. Yep, there it is. So you'll see now they think they can get all of the work done, roughly by the end of 2026. So, and then once that's done, then we just wait to pay that off in 5 or 6 years, and then we address space issues at that time. So, and then there's also a frequently asked questions. So, again, I'm just doing a very high level overview of the website here. If people want to come out tomorrow night, or we also have informational sessions on September 17th and October 9th, and just listen to it, get the facts, ask your questions, or just tune in. We'll have Mr. Schwaller will be available to take your questions online and to be able to rifle them off to us, and myself and Shive Hattery and Project Advocates. The mayor's going to be joining us tomorrow night, so that's exciting. He can kind of talk about the growth of the district and any questions that you might have for him. At the next meeting, I have Chris LaFura, the chamber president, chamber CEO. He's going to be coming to the September 17th meeting. And then I have Matt Gillespie from Piper Jaffray, who is just an expert at school finance. And if anybody has any other finance questions, he's the guy to ask on October 9th. So I'm just trying to get a different expert in each one of the nights. So, any questions on that? You will see as you drive around the campus, we do have signs and posters up, or we have banners up. We do have posters coming this week, hopefully tomorrow, that we'll have available in the entries of all the schools. And we'll just do our best again to make sure that we are communicating as much as possible with our public. So, we did send out one mailer brochure already. Hopefully you guys all got it in your mail. And then, we'll look at, potentially doing another one here in a couple weeks, so. Any questions?
All right, we'll then go to our discussion items, 7.01 welding equipment purchase.
So if you look at the welding equipment purchase, let me get down to it here. There's too much on here, So the bid is from Matheson, so it includes, so we've already purchased 3 welders through Perkins Consortium, and then these are 9 more that will finish us off, so we will have 12 welding booths, which will allow us a maximum of 24 students in our classes, so we have a ton of kids that want to take it, and so originally we were thinking about going 6 welding booths, and then we were able to get a couple of them paid for through Perkins, and we said, you know, if we're gonna do it, we might as well just do it now, rip off the Band-Aid, be able to open this program up for kids. I don't wanna shut anybody out, so, so this will be for 5 Miller Multimatic, and then 4 Lincoln. With the Perkins money, we had already bought 2 Lincoln and 1 Miller. So overall, we'll have 6 of each. So kids will be able to be trained across the equipment. So that's kind of what that is. And Matheson gives us a big educator discount, so.
And how soon will these be?
If you guys approve them tonight, I'll tell them tomorrow and they'll be here by Thursday, so.
Is there any questions? Any discussion? All right, we'll go then to 7.02 office divider purchase.
So, we are looking at purchasing office dividers for the office. We have a couple people, HR, finance, that they really need a space that they can lock up at night, and we just don't have any more office space, so it's either construct, build walls, or look at something like a modular, system like this. This would be the most, cost-wise, it probably is relatively the same either way, although if you do build walls, you have to go through, because they're vertical structure, we have to go through it, we would have to get an architect involved or an engineer. We would have to get city approval, we would have to do, those types of things, and, if we do this is not considered a permanent system, and it's not structural, it just kinda goes up. If you scroll down, you can show them what it looks like. So it's just 2 office spaces. One's a little bit bigger because we want our HR to be able to meet with people in the office. Right now, she kind of moves around to whatever space is available, whether it's a conference room or this room. When we have a lot of gatherings, like we have this last week, she kind of dives wherever she can go. So, and then a lot of, between HR and the finance person, there's just a lot of confidential information that right now is, unfortunately, they keep it, in locked drawers around their desk, but anybody really, that if you're coming into our office, cleaners or anything like that, not that they would, but everybody kind of would have access to it. So this allows us to kind of shut them off. So, but that is, if it's approved tonight, they can get going and they can get it to us within, a couple weeks. So.
Have you seen these put up? Have they showed you pictures?
They showed us pictures and videos, yeah, and they just sent me samples, so I have samples of like the metals and the fabric. The fabric's gonna match really close to our current fabric and our cubicles in there. Metal's gonna be a little bit different. We have more of a like painted tan metal. Theirs is more of a chrome-based metal, but it doesn't, the other ones I was looking at were between as much as $50,000 to $80,000, so this one was the most reasonable.
But it'll look good.
Yeah, it'll look good. Yeah, it's the first, 3 feet is just like these ones are fabric, and then the rest of it's windows, because the other thing we don't wanna do is we didn't wanna build walls and then block out the natural light from the windows, cause then nobody else would get natural light in the office. So it'll be all windows, so they'll be able to lock it up, it'll be secure, they'll be able to have conversations. But at the end of the day, you will still be able to see like natural light, et cetera.
Will it be along the front of the building, or will it be the,
The front.
okay,
Yep, so coming straight out from the window on the far side and then moving this way, and then, so if you look at it, that the right side is gonna connect to the wall clear on the other side by where Jenny's desk is right
Right.
now with the printers, and then, the last wall will be roughly kind of where the current cubicle is now.
okay.
And then, we'll be able to just kind of add another, move one of those cubicles forward, and then that new person will have a space that they can work at, so.
Perfect.
So they'll go in front of the windows
Yep,
this way. And
so the windows will be closest to us,
Right,
yep.
because how many empty desks do we have out there now?
Empty, zero.
Right now, none. We've created a desk, actually.
We moved a table in,
Okay,
yeah.
So this is office equipment like the desks, the walls, and then the electrical?
No, the electrical will be run by our guys, so it's essentially, we already have electrical there, just putting in some runways and that kind of
Some
stuff.
like conduit so they
yeah,
can run it
Yeah, it's
through.
not very much. This is just, what they're selling us are the desks that are inside of it, because, one, they're pretty reasonable compared to like what you would buy anywhere else for like a nice office type desk, and then they're made for those spaces, so to find one that we potentially pay as much, if not more, and then it probably won't fit, so these will be custom made to the space.
Okay.
Like, I think the big desk there is like $800, and I don't know that you'd find a high quality desk, work desk for that. I mean, if you go to All Makes or wherever, they're
Usually it's,
pricey, all that
$1,000
stuff's
or
pricey.
$2,000, yeah.
oh, yeah. I deal
Easily.
with that a lot.
Yeah.
So HR would be in the bigger office?
Yep, so HR would be in the bigger one, so then she can meet with, our employees, potential employees, she can do screener interviews, she can do that all behind a closed door.
Okay, and then the second one, because there'll only be two along that wall.
There'll be a third one, but the third one doesn't need to be enclosed, so the third one will just be in a standard cubicle that'll be kind of on the end, so.
And that doesn't take away from other people's spaces in there, so they still have,
No,
Room
right now along that wall,
comfort-wise.
we have 1, 2, 3, we have 3 people along that wall right now, so it'll be the same, we're just putting 2 of them behind a closed door and then moving one of the cubicles forward, so, yep.
Is there any other questions? All right, we'll go then to 7.03, high school commons AV equipment purchase.
So for a long time, they've been trying to figure out how we can get some AV equipment updated in the commons. They've never really had, I think the intent was always to put like a projector and a screen in there. They just haven't done it, and it was supposed to be kind of like the culminating project, as far as the end of the auditorium. But they just, for whatever reason, nobody did it. So what this would do is this would install a drop-down, like a big drop-down screen, like electric screen that would go up and down. It would be tucked in right in front of the door, the main entry doors to the auditorium, just up in the ceiling, so you can't really see it. There's a space right there right now. And then they would install a projector as well that just kind of hangs from the ceiling, and then all the controls and everything that go to it. So they'll wire into our speaker system, they'll do all that kind of stuff. I got one other competing bid. It was a little over $31,000 from another company, and then I reached out to 2 other companies and nobody wanted to bid it. So this was kind of the option. So, but yeah, that would be my recommendation. This money would come out of this next year's budget, and so we're kind of, that's, even though this is a project that's been in the past for a while, this will come out of our next year's budget, so that's part of one of the projects the high school wants to do. But since we're past July 1st, usually I say, I count like summer work to go to last year's budget up until like the beginning of school. Since this will take place after the beginning of school, it'll be for this next year's budget, as well as everything else that you guys will approve here tonight. nothing's gonna go on last year's budget, so we're kinda tapped out for last year's budget.
Okay, when the screen comes down, will it be just above the doors, or would it come
Uh,
below the
it,
doors?
it can come to just above the doors, it can come to below, to like down into the doors, it just depends on how far you wanna drop it down,
Okay.
so.
And
And
I
then the
know-
projector drops down as well.
Okay, and with competitions and everything, will they be able to have what's going on in stage?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay,
So you would be able to have, like competitions, like I'm thinking of like the show choir, like the show choir is always a big competition. They'll be able to live stream the show choir out into the commons using this equipment, so just kind of an added boost, or like if you're a parent and your kids are loud, like mine like to be sometimes, it gives them an opportunity to go out and not miss anything. We've funneled it through to those TVs in that front lobby area there. But when you have a kid and they're running around the commons area, they don't let you stand there and watch it. So at least if it's on a giant screen, you'll be able to watch it. And with more and more people stepping up and wanting to rent the facility out for dance competitions, and I mean, we've had a movie premiere, we've had somebody wanted to do like a musical camp. So as these people come in, they want to do this. This is just another kind of like, look what we have. That's not only functional for us during the school day with our students and our staff, but also is something that we can charge for. You know, you want this as a benefit, then this is the cost for that. So should be able to make some money back on it.
There's a separate speaker system just for that area?
It's our,
So like if you play something, it's not gonna play everywhere?
no, they can plug it just into those speakers.
Okay.
Yep. They're not very good speakers, but I told them one thing at a time,
Yeah,
so,
but that'll get utilized a lot, though.
I think so. I think it'll be
Okay.
utilized all the time. You know, I was even thinking, right now, our football team will go into like the middle school auditorium, or they'll go into the, high school auditorium once in a while when nobody's looking and watch film in there. Well, they like to bring their snacks, and they got sweaty bodies and everything else, like, I'd rather have them in the cafeteria, and they can watch, you know, football, you know, their game film in the cafeteria, and don't have to worry about necessarily all the snacks and the sweaty bodies in the seats, so. but
good idea.
Another option, so.
It's true.
Okay, any other questions? All right, 7.04 Titan Hill Handbook Update.
So the handbook updates are listed there. One second here. Okay, so they made the following changes. One, they clarified language around what a classroom incident and what is a major referral. So I think it was confusing in the past when we talked about majors and minors, because a parent would get a notification that their kid had a minor referral, and they're like, oh my goodness, where did they get referred to? And in reality, they just had, like, they took somebody's pencil and the teacher told them, don't take somebody's pencil. They were never referred to anybody. It just was like a classroom conversation. So that language is changing. So now it's gonna be clarified as a classroom incident. So then parents are like, okay, it was a classroom incident. Like, my kid messed up and you had to talk to my kid. You know, like that's versus a major referral, like a referral to the office. So clarified some of that. Clarified expectations for staff around parent communication as far as, you know, if it's a classroom incident, the teacher will call home. Even if it's a major referral, the teacher's still involved in the conversation. So you'll see some of that changes. Oops, I clicked the wrong thing. One second. Streamline the matrix to have all the information in one location. Revised theft to differentiate on value. So like the way it was written was theft of any kind was a major referral. So a kid stole a pencil. Well, according to the handbook, that was a major referral. And like, stealing a pencil is not a major referral. A pencil is what, like 24 cents? Like, that's not a major referral. That's a, hey, give your pencil back to the other kid. So just kind of talked about like what makes it a classroom incident versus a major. Added steps for staff to respond to misbehavior for building consistency. Clarified what constitutes a repeated behavior. Differentiated property misuse from property damage. So if a kid, you know, stood on a chair and jumped around on a chair but didn't actually break it, like that's probably property misuse, like we don't stand on chairs, but it's not property damage. And then expanded our possible consequences list for both classroom incidents and majors to include more options of restorative practices. So this is actually going to go both in the Titan Hill and Creft handbooks are one and the same. So even though it says Titan Hill update, the Creft handbook automatically updates, or automatically takes it as well, so. Any other questions?
Okay, hearing none, we'll then go to 7.05, bond attorney engagement agreement.
So by law, we have to have an attorney help us with the language for the bonding, or for anything related to the bond. So they're the ones that, for instance, they write the, like the bond language. They're the ones that if the bond passes, then they engage with the, for us to be able to work through the finance. So it's just a requirement by the state to have somebody that kind of leads you in that. Our attorney is Allers and Cooney, so these people just work for Allers and Cooney, but because they're a different department, they require a different letter of engagement. We did the same thing last year, so.
Any questions?
Is there a price tag involved with this, or is it just language?
No, there's a price tag, it's based on their regular service fee, so there's no end price tag, it depends on how much time they are, that's why it's just a letter of engagement. So we pay the same cost that we would as if we're calling our own attorney from Allers and Cooney, so.
Any other questions? Okay, 7.06, audio equipment purchase.
I'm gonna have, Dr. Hartman pull up the audio equipment, I sent it to you guys in an email. So basically the football field, the outdoor equipment's kind of at the end of its life. I think people really recognized it last year when we had a new field and we had a new scoreboard. And then when the dance team is dancing and it cracks and then just completely goes out, and then you hear the dancers be like, keep going, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, and I'm like, so they're finishing, they're rock stars, they're getting it done, but the equipment just has been failing. And last year, and I'll take responsibility for it because I know last year my plan was I was gonna have it addressed this summer. And we just don't have any dance teams going on in the spring. The band's not going on because the band uses the speaker system all the time as well. So nobody really noticed it, like, until we were at the dance and cheer camp. And then again, our wonderful dance team's out there and they're dancing and the sound just goes off, like, and they're like, keep going, 5. I mean, they're so used to it, it's almost like comical at this point. It's like, okay, like, kids shouldn't have to put up with that. So I called in the speaker guys. Called a couple different companies. 2 of them just didn't even want to engage with it because one of them would have been a complete system reboot. So they would have done something like install speakers like above our scoreboard. They're kind of that company, like that's what they want to do. It's the same system we had in Missouri Valley. It's great, but it's back then it was about $125,000. And then, so I can't imagine that was 2015, what it costs now, you know, so I'm assuming more than $125,000, but not really sure. Another company told me they're just way too busy right now. They could come out and take a look at it, but I'm assuming they're gonna give us a premium price for it. And so in the back of my mind, when I was talking to that company, they said, well, you can expect, you know, between $80,000 and $100,000 if you're gonna replace the system. So then I pulled this company in. This company's like, listen, some of the stuff you have is good, like some of your sound equipment, your mixers, like that stuff's pretty good, but some of your other things are bad, like your speakers. One of the heads on the north side is completely blown. The other ones don't get as much power. They're 500-watt speakers. The amps are 500 watts, so usually what your amps to be double the wattage. I don't know anything about this. This is what he's telling me. So he kind of goes through like all these things, and he's like, listen, he's like, you need to replace your speakers. And he's like, if you're going to replace your speakers, it makes no sense to have amps that are original to the building. So he actually was the guy who installed the original system, not installed the original system, but when we got a new press box, I think in like 2018 or something like that. So when he got the new press box in 2018, at the time, or 2019, at the time, they took all of the speakers down because they were mounted on the press box. They took all of them down, took all the equipment down, and then when it came to like, what do you want to do? You want to get new, et cetera? They're like, nope, just put them back up. So we put 20-year-old speakers at the time, just mounted them on the light poles, and just kept all the same equipment, all the same. The only thing we added was we had some wireless stuff. Like we added a wireless mic ref, and we added another wireless mic. Outside of that, it's the original sound equipment, the original speakers from, I don't know how long they've been up there. I
Old,
mean,
because
they're-
they were crackling 30 years ago,
Oh, okay.
so they're old.
Yeah, he thought it, he said they're minimum 25 years old. He's like, it's just time. So, for this year's project, it'll go on this year's budget. The recommendation is let's do it right. Let's get, new speakers, let's get new amps. I was anticipating a bill, between $50,000 and $75,000. It did come in, the total amount's $43,913. That replaces all the speakers, all the amps. And then one of the things that people love to do is they love to mess with because everybody thinks they're an expert in audio equipment. So they love to play with the mixer. They love to try to mix with everything. And so there's a way through this work that he's going to lock up all of the mixers, all of everything. He's gonna mount an external button, so that way if somebody comes in that doesn't know anything about audio equipment like me, I just come in, I switch on a switch, everything is set to certain frequencies and volumes and everything else. I can use Bluetooth from my phone, I can still play music, I can still grab the mic, I can still do a mic, so whatever it is, but I just can't get in there and crank it up to blow the speakers. I can't mess with any of the like I can't do anything else. And so, as part of this work, that's what he's gonna do too, so.
What's the timeline for that?
So he can do some of it right away. They have some of the stuff in stock, like getting it locked up, I think the speakers, he can get those relatively early. It's like the amps and stuff. So like, we can get new speakers, but we're still running off the old amps. And so it won't sound much, I mean, it'll sound better because they're new speakers, but
Yeah.
you're not gonna be able to power them the way that you would with, our current system. Long term, what I would like to do as well as kind of a phase 2 of this later on down the road is to be able to put speakers on the other side of the field as well. So that way we're not just blowing out our home fans all the time, because when those speakers are loud, I mean, they're super loud. So trying to figure out what can we do better, to get this done right. So, and then again, we're good for the next, hopefully 30 years. So, but I was surprised to see the number come in at roughly, 80% of the lowest number that I was thinking of, so.
But you
not
think
bad.
you can have this ready for, like, our first football games?
He's gonna try to get some stuff
That'd be
ready.
nice.
He came in and just what he did, just by adjusting all of the knobs and I emailed everybody I think that uses the facility, I'm like, don't touch the knobs, whatever you do, don't touch the knobs. Like, I was joking, but I'm like, don't touch the knobs, PS, don't touch the knobs, like that kind of thing, like,
Put tape over them and
Yeah,
say,
like,
do
leave
not
'em
touch the
alone.
knobs.
It
'cause-
doesn't work.
I know.
Well, what ends up happening is the speakers that we have were made back when they installed them 30 years ago as a PA system. Like, it was meant for like announcing, et cetera. It wasn't meant for the music that we have now. And the music that we have now has a lot of lows, a lot of beats, a lot of, I mean, you're talking hip hop, everything else that the girls aren't dancing to James Taylor, like they're dancing to, Little Jeezy and whoever else there is, so I'm aging
Lots of
myself right
bass.
now, people online, so. And so what ends up happening is people don't hear the bass, so it sounds bad. So what they do is they adjust the knobs and they turn down the highs and turn up the lows to try to recreate bass, which just blows our speakers. So there's literally no bass in them right now. He's like, but that's what they're trying to do. He's like, so we just lock it down. The new speakers will have some bass, so they'll sound better so people don't feel like they have to mess with the knobs. And we'll have a new system for the next 30 years, so.
Any questions? All right, 7.07, open enrollment request. Per Iowa code, we are allowed to go into closed session for this. It is Iowa Code 21.51A. Closed session is appropriate to review or discuss records which are required or authorized by state or federal law. Can't even read. To be kept confidential or to be kept confidential as a condition for that government's body possession or continued receipt of federal funds. So with that, can I get a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Vote, please.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Sorensen?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Ms. Atkins?
Yes.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mrs. Sheffel?
Yes. So, comments and suggestions, this is the second time during our agenda that anyone in the audience or anyone online, if they want to type something in, can address the board.
Yeah, I have a comment.
You want to state your name? Just,
Yeah, just go with the mic and.
yeah. Just state your name.
You can come
Oh,
up to the mic. Yeah.
Sturm,
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to go back to the 702, the office divider. So you said it's $30,000.
Yep.
For one, I'd like to challenge you all to find somewhere, whether it be in this building or one of the surrounding buildings, and not spend that money. Because you said this was 30,000, but that also doesn't include the cost of electrician, you know, whether you do it in-house or out of house. You know, there's gonna be a cost there. And then another thing is, depending on how big these are, it's gonna mess with your HVAC in that room, whether you have to add, vents, or that room is going to lose 2 vents, depending on the size of these cubicles. And I understand that they need places to lock their stuff up, and maybe for a temporary fix, maybe you look at buying just a big gun safe, so they can lock it up and do it that way. But I don't think that 30,000 for 2 offices, when you have 5 buildings here, might not be the quick answer.
Okay, thank you. Anyone online? All right, thank you. We'll go then to our action items, 9.01, welding equipment purchase.
Madam President,
Mr. Houston,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the welding equipment purchase from Matheson for the amount of $50,524.89.
Second.
any discussion? Vote please.
Mr. Sorensen?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Ms. Atkins?
Yes.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mrs. Shuffle?
Yes. 9.02, office divider purchase.
Madam President,
Mr. Houston,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the office divider bid from Scucci for the amount of $30,494.65.
$454.
Oh, I didn't say that?
You said 94.
Oh, sorry. I'll reiterate, $30,454.65.
Second.
any discussion? Vote please.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Ms. Atkins?
Yes.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Sorensen?
Yes.
Mrs. Shuffle?
Yes. 9.03, high school commons AV equipment purchase.
Madam President,
Mr. Houston,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the AV purchase bid from KCAV for the amount of $29,331.97.
Second.
any discussion? Vote please.
Ms. Atkins?
Yes.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Sorensen?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Mrs. Shuffle?
Yes. 9.04, Titan Hill handbook update.
Madam Chair,
Sure. Ms. Adkins,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the presented changes to the Titan Hill handbook.
Second.
any discussion? Vote please.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Sorensen?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Ms. Atkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Shuffle?
Yes. 9.05, bond attorney engagement agreement.
Madam President,
Mr. Houston,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the bond engagement agreement with Allers and Cooney as presented in the regular board meeting.
Second.
any discussion? Vote please.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Sorensen?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Ms. Atkins?
Yes.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mrs. Shuffle?
Yes. 9.06, audio equipment purchase.
Madam President,
Mr. Houston.
I'd like to make the motion to approve the audio equipment purchases from TMS for the total amount of $43,913.83.
Second.
Go ahead.
Have a second. Any discussion? Vote, please.
Mr. Sorensen?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Ms. Atkins?
Yes.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mrs. Shuffle?
Yes. 9.07, open enrollment requests. We'll take a motion for student A.
Madam President,
Mr. Houston.
I'd like to make a motion to deny the open enrollment request from student A.
Second.
Any discussion? Vote, please.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Ms. Atkins?
Yes.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Sorensen?
Yes.
Mrs. Shuffle?
Yes. And now open enrollment request for student B.
Madam President,
Mr. Houston.
I'd like to make a motion to deny the open enrollment request for student B.
Second.
Any discussion? Vote, please.
Ms. Atkins?
Yes.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Sorensen?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Mrs. Shuffle?
Yes. And open enrollment request for student C.
Madam President,
Mr. Houston.
I'd like to make a motion to deny the open enrollment request for student C.
Second.
Any discussion? Vote, please.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Sorensen?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Ms. Atkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Shuffle?
Yes. Items of interest, future board meetings. We do have our next regular board meeting will be September 16th, since we have the Labor Day in there, and we only have one meeting in September. Bond referendum informational session. Our first one is tomorrow night, August 20th, and then the next one after that will be September 17th. Is there anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.